What's going on? You listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast. Ujumbe means message. And we're in our night school session. We got about 2 more sessions to go before I take a break because I got to do real life teacher stuff. Yes, I'm a teacher here, but I'm also a real life teacher. I teach history, and at the high school level, I teach government economics. So we're about to wrap up the school year. So I figured it'd be a good time to kind of put a pause on our night school session. But we got a couple more sessions before we do that. But I am thankful for every last one of you guys for listening and tuning in, sharing, commenting, subscribing. My goodness. We're on every platform now. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Amazon. We're on every major platform now. Shout out to the fam that's listening. Much love to the fam in Germany, Kenya, Uganda, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, to my family in Cameroon, Texas, New York, all over the diaspora. Shout out to the family in Brazil. What's going on? I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, listening. But without wasting time, let's get down to the business. Before we get down to the lesson, shout out to the men of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Today is our Founders Day. We're going to make it do what it do. Shout out to the bros. And, be out. But now, let's get to it, all right? Here we go. We are in session 8, okay? King Cam Ujumbe Podcast. This is session number 8, and we're going to get into chapter 6, the southern part of the Zanj. I learn something new every day, y'all. I'm very excited about this. I'm learning as we go. I'm not just teaching here. We are learning together all these things, all these wonderful things. Yes, I read it, but then to see it again with a new set of eyes is amazing. And so, yes, this is a introduction to African history geared just for you. It's designed to foster a life of learning. This is that bridge between, say, I don't know anything about African history to the advanced levels, to the college level. This is that middle school, high school level. This is as if you have never, ever, ever took anything took any course concerning African history. And I'm going to help you with that. Let's get down with it. Okay. It will be once a week. We'll go over a few readings on the continent. And people always ask, are there any other civilizations in Africa outside of Kemet? And, hopefully we're doing a fantastic job pinpointing and highlighting these places and spaces. So, let's get to it. All right. This is the sub-regions of Africa. Of course, we're going through these major land masses. I really don't agree with how it's cut out, but it's pretty much close to the regions that we're covering. Okay. And of course, we're still in the book, The Lost Cities of Africa by Basil Davidson. It's a very good read, very thorough. There's times where I say, what did you say? But this book is dated, ladies and gentlemen. This book is dated. It was published, let me see. Oh, goodness. the original, it was originally published in 1959. So it was revised a couple of times, but what I'm saying is it's kind of dated, but it covers some ground. Okay. Now let's recap. What cities were between the Niger and Congo? We talked about that last week. If you haven't seen it or heard it, check it out. Right. And what is the great distortion? But before we get into that, there was a couple of people that pinpointed a few things. And I would like to shout them out. Shout out to the Ujumbe fam, Afri-Aspora Films. They commented something brilliant. They mentioned the Yellow Nile. Yes, there was a Yellow Nile, y'all. It went along, it branched off the Nile River, and it pointed towards and went westward. It dried up about over 5,000 years ago. So for the individuals who really want to refute or give rebuttals to the fact that Egypt and Kush was isolated, the Nok people was isolated, and the Yoruba people was isolated, look up the Yellow Nile. Shout out to the fam that pointed that out. I didn't point it out because it wasn't in the book, but it is a fact. The Yellow Nile did exist. All right. All right. So of course, the Yellow Nile reached into Lake Chad, which poured into the rest of the Western world. So we have Lake Chad right in the middle that bridged the gap between the Eastern Nile, the people of Nile River civilization, and West. Now, what was the Great Distortion? What did Basil Davidson describe as the Great Distortion according to his book? And how many Africans were taken? You remember? And why was Benin art so highly regarded? Okay, now let's get to it. Today we're going to identify and discuss major concepts in the book entitled Lost Cities of Africa. It says chapter 5, but we're in no, we're still in chapter 5. Yes, we are in chapter 5. Okay, my fault. We are in chapter 5. I'm going ahead of myself. We are in chapter 5. Chapter 5. Now, the essential questions. What are the origins of the term Zanj? Zanj. What is the origins of the term Zanj? And who were the Waklimi? Who were the Waklimi? And did they have a form of religion? And describe their view of divine kingship. Because it's amazing that they may be of, like, say, different, say, ethnic group, but there's certain things that kind of connect various people in the continent, and divine kingship is one of them. They may have a different name for it, but it's still the same. All right, chapter 5, the southern part of Zanj, to the southward. There's a section called To the Southward. This was around the time when European spotlight was on Mali and Ile-Ife. Now, we have to understand that there was multiple things going on in Africa. You have to understand that. It wasn't just one group of people doing all the things and then somebody else was dormant. No, multiple civilizations was all happening at one time. So when Europe was enamored with Mansa Musa and Askia Muhammad and so on, and those people over there, life was happening and empires and cities was established in the East. Okay, so, and it even says in the book, it says 2 days sail beyond there lies the very last market town of the continent of Tanzania, which is called Rapata, and has its name from the sold boats already mentioned, in which there is ivory in great quantity and turquoise shell. This is Perpulus of the Erythraean Sea at about AD 60. People was talking about them all, in the early part of modern era. And so, yeah, it was happening, okay? But there was, of course, a place, another in the eastern coast of Africa that the Arabs knew about, called the Zanj. So the Europeans was highlighting West Africa, but the Arab, the Mesopotamian people were highlighting people of the Zanj. Okay, now what about this? Okay, let's move south. Zanj is in the southeastern area of Africa, Somalia. That includes Somalia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique. So yes, this map may involve Ethiopia and Sudan and northern southern Sudan, but mainly it was around the eastern coast below the Horn of Africa. Okay, Somalia. So it was right around here. That is Zanj. Okay, so that was the southeastern corner of Africa. Okay, I forgot Zanzibar. Zanzibar. Forgot about that. Well, shout out to the family in Mozambique and Zanzibar. All right, now let's move to the southward. Many scholars for centuries wrote about the southward land of Zanj. The mariners of Oman went as far as Madagascar to trade and return to Arabia. Abdul Hassan ibn Hussein ibn Ali al-Masudi wrote about what he experienced in the land of Zanj in his book, The Meadows of Gold. Of course, it says that Abbasides, but we have to understand that Ethiopia, of course, is a modern term, but Abyssinia, Abbasides, Habasha, even Aksum, those kind of was umbrella terms for a group of people in the eastern part of Africa, south of Egypt. All right. So Al-Musudi wrote a lot about what he's seen and heard in this area. Okay, the land of the Zanj. But who are they? Who are the Zanj? The Zanj were a conglomerate of many tribes and ethnic groups. So it would say, like, for example, when they mention the Moors, it is a group of people under this umbrella. So, and many tribes and many ethnic groups may have came under one empire. They may say Ghana, the empire of Ghana, but several families were involved, right? So the Zanj was a conglomerate of many tribes and ethnic groups, but they was usually all known as all the blacks. All the black people, the Zanj, the people who spoke Arabic would term them as the Zanj out there in southeastern Africa, in Zanzibar, in Tanzania, and so on, all the blacks. So where did the term originate from, though? Where did it come from? Yeah, let's get into it. Some believe it came from a Persian inscription in 293 AD mentioning interaction between Nursing and a man named Zan Afrik Shah. Zad Afrik Shah. Afrik Shah. Africa? Afrik Shah. Huh. You know, what do you think? But this was an interaction between one Arabian individual and a king named Zand Afrik Shah. Okay, so that's where sometimes they would believe that the term originated from. And according to Davison, the Zanj were the Bantu people who occupied the coast and the hinterland. In page 154, they occupied the coast and inside of that area. Okay. And so the Zanj of the Waklimi built their capitals in the south in the land of Sofala. The Zanj of the Waklimi built their capitals in the south in a land called Sofala. The people would elect their king, whom they call Waklimi. Get this now, the word Ghana is a title for a king in ancient times, and it is over time the Ghana became the state and became the empire. But at one time, the word Ghana meant king or somebody in rulership. So same thing here, same thing applied here. The Waklimi, that was a title for their king, which means sons of the great God. Sons of the great God. Pretty interesting. So we have the people of the further east, the Mesopotamian, Arabian people would say these are the Zanj. But then the Zanj say, hey, our leader is the Waklimi. Okay? But I'll tell you this. Don't get out of line. But as soon as the king shows weakness or tyranny, he's removed one way or the other. Okay? So let's understand. Okay? They had leaders, but they could not have a weak one. Because a weak leader would equal a weak empire, a weak infrastructure. No, we're not talking about a tyrant. We're not talking about a person that acts a fool. But if the person has to do what he needs to do, he should not hesitate. He shouldn't hesitate to protect his family. He should hesitate to protect his land, his people. We as men got to get better at that. I'm just saying, okay, if you're going to pitch it, I'm going to hit it. We as men have to be better at protecting our families, taking care of our families and our community. We can't rely on other people to do it for us. I'm just saying. All right. So they were great leaders, and they expected people to lead greatly. So who were they? They were skilled they were skilled workers in metal. They hunted elephants for ivory. They ate bananas, sorghum, and kalari. Very, more of a fruit vegetable based diet, but they did hunt. They weren't scary. Please understand. They weren't just out there eating rabbit food, timid and hiding, ducking and dodging. No, they went after that elephant because they wanted to, right? These were the Zanj. These were the warriors. Trust me, I didn't realize that there was the Zanj. I didn't know, but we got more. There's more to it. Okay, and they also, page 155 at the bottom, they were great orators. The Zanj are elegant speakers and have orators in their own language. Often devout man among them, entering in a crowd, will make a speech, inviting his listeners to conform to the ways of God and obey God's orders. Okay, and then they were jet black. That's what he said. It was jet black. They were black people. Let's understand. But they were scholars. They was learned people. It wasn't just, say, West Africa with the scholars over there, or in Kemet and Nubia. The scholars was everywhere in the continent. All right, let's continue. Spirituality. This is before Islam. This is around the Christian era, but a lot of our African people, they had no codified religion, say, in writing. That's what they say, no codified. It was a custom. It was the thing that they have always done, right? And so just like many ancient African practices, it was rooted in nature and a belief that God was in everything and is in everything. So they was in tune with what was going on. They was in tune with family. They was in tune with nature and the sounds and everything. So by paying attention to that, being in tune with that, they realized that God is in everything. So they have to respect everything, right? And be thankful for everything, right? Now, were there others? Sure were. There's plenty of others. Okay, just like when we discovered as we went further west, the Nok people, before we got to the Yoruba side and the Benin side, there were others. The Shilluk people, they're located in the Upper Nile in Sudan. Their king was called the Nile King. So when people want to use the derogatory term, we was kings, please understand that some of these terms was terms that we used anyway. Nile King. Their king was Nile King. Okay? Personified, the Nile King was personified divine kingship, like the pharaohs or many others, the Insut-Biti, the Oba. A lot of they embodied divinity or the power of God. They represented God on the behalf of him to help the people and so on. All right. So they believed that all their leaders were personification of the hero named Nile King, the great ancestor Nile King, similar to, let me allude back to Kemet, where, let's say, the king that was enthroned represented Heru. Okay, but of course, when he passed on, he then represented Osiris and that kind of thing. So that custom is still seen there. So you see that root and that little flash of light traversing the continent. So they believe their leaders were personifications of their great ancestor Nile King. But get this, we should aspire to be great. We should aspire to be great people and do great things. We just, I can't do that, or I can't be like that. Be your best and be at your best and do your best. Okay? So the king must rule with justice and equality, equal regularity. Okay, so that was the king, the Nile King. This is Sudan. Okay? And so, get this. Let's see if it's, no, hold on. They elected their kings too. The Shilluk elected their kings. So the Africans, come on, pay attention. The Africans had their own form of democracy long before the United States Constitution. I said it. The Africans had an election process. So it may have been under a dynasty or golden age, but it wasn't passed down from father to son. The people elected and selected the king, and that person who they selected was the embodiment of the Nile king. All right. But now I noticed there was something that caught my attention. Even though they did not have, say, a form of spirituality, there is some kind of continuity along the Nile River. I'm just saying, I say it all the time, pictures don't lie. As you notice, you see my aunt here, a feather means justice, means balance. Guess what? Sister has a feather in her head. She's in Sudan. Brother has a feather also right here, representing balance, representing being light of heart, being focused. Pictures don't lie. All right, so let that sink in. This is not a isolated situation. Kemetic culture is African culture, Kemetic culture, but it may be expressed differently in different places, but you see it. All right, now there were some discoveries at Kalambo. Just like the Knot people, Davidson highlights discoveries at Kalambo. It was a very pleasant surprise. Okay, this was one out of so many other things. The Shelluk people, oh goodness, it was a surprise. But this one here caught my attention as well. This was another transitional group of people that bridged the gap between ancient times to the modern. These cultures, these ethnic groups were not isolated. There was an in-between somewhere. So they discovered a people that may go back beyond 1000 BC. They found it at the Hyjax Hill in Kenya. That's not far from the mountains of the moon, I'm just saying. They discovered a settlement complete with stone wall dwellings, even a cemetery dating well over 3,000 years. At Kalambo. This is a waterfall right here. They have beautiful waterfall. This place is another place I need to go see, right? So there's some discoveries at Kalambo. What did they find? Davidson stated that a scientist named Desmond Clark found something in Western Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, at the southern end of Lake Tanganyika. Okay, he found camping floors. The further you go, the darker it gets. He partially carbonized tree trunks preserved in waterlogged clay. So that basically means they made firewood. Okay. And radiocarbon tests find that they are more than 36,000 years before the present. We've heard it. We've heard African civilizations being fully intact and fully functional for 50,000 years, and European scientists are actually proving that. Interesting. Discoveries at Kalambo, and they're still finding new things, okay? Now, the foundation of Southern civilization. This is the third section here in chapter 5. Kalambo is at the very beginning of the Nile Happy River. But Davidson asserts that most of the Arab scholars that came after al-Masudi only wrote about what they heard and not what they've experienced firsthand. So a lot of things after al-Masudi published his work, after his work, these people just going off of what the other traders were saying. Very few people actually went down there to see it and experience themselves. But by the 1500s, East Africans were trading via the Indian Ocean. Yeah. You gotta address the elephant in the room, the slave trade. yes, we really amplify the European slave trade, but we totally become real quiet with the Arab slave trade, which is not fair. As you can see on this illustration here, Africa was being, the resources and people was being taken from both sides. Be honest with you. If somebody came to your house your front door and your back door, you're in trouble. Right? So we just can't ignore the fact that the Arab people did the same thing that the European people was doing too. If you're gonna be even-handed, let's go and do it. Right? But we'll touch on that another day. Now, let's get back to it. What were the origins of the term Zanj? Do you remember? And who were the Waklimi? Did they have a form of religion and describe their view of divine kingship? All right. So what's next? What's next? This week we will discuss and discover chapter 6. And for more on this, on East Africa, Central Africa, check out the Home Team, Sankofa Pan-African series, the African History page, and AE Learning. But I got a bonus for you. I got to get in on this. Ethiopia, the Origin of Civilization by John G. Jackson, and of course, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. You guys need to get this. They go into detail. Ethiopia and Origin of Civilization, it deals with ancient Ethiopia, but The Destruction of Black Civilization, it talks about, it deals with the Arab slave trade, where one person, where there's a blind eye to it, he lets them know. Okay? Very good book, very good read. Challenge your read, so, but, we're here to learn, right? We're here to challenge ourselves and learn something new. But before we go, we got to pray for peace and unity and stability for our family along the Sahel region, in Congo, Ethiopia. They're going through it, y'all. And Sudan. I got to say something about that. We have to unite. We have to love each other, protect each other. Much love to the family, Ethiopia. We hear you. We see you. Much love to the family in Sudan, the children in Congo. We got to pray, okay? Pray for peace and stability, unity and stability. All right? All right. Just got through, I know it says chapter 6, but that's my fault. The part, you just got to listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, Ujumbe Me's Message, and we talked about this southern part of Zanj. And I am very thankful that you guys hung with me for a few more minutes. And this is Thanksgiving season. Comment, what are you guys thankful for? I'm thankful for my health, my strength, my wife and children, my family, and for you guys for listening and paying attention and sharing and making this journey great. Before we go, I got to highlight a few good things and a few good people. This show has been, let me get to it. This show has been brought to you by the Irish Smokehouse. If you're in the DFW area, check them out. Check out the fam. Yeah, it goes down. Yeah, Texas Smoke, jerk brisket, they got all the good stuff. Much love to Jason, Deldrick, shout out to the fam. Yeah, go check them out. If you're in the DFW area, check them out. Let me see here. And shout out to Pan-African Bookstore. It's in the middle of Dallas. Love it. Go see Mama Kwete, see the people, get a book, drum circles be popping. Love it. All right. And of course, Ellis County African American Hall of Fame Museum and Library. Also, one more thing, if you have not got a journal, get a journal. Get your Ujumbe Me's Message journal. And we have sermon journals for, and also the Midnight Sun Dream and Art Journal. If you like to write your dreams or you like to draw them out, check it out. All right. We're on Amazon now. All right. But I really appreciate you guys. You listen to King Cam Ujumbe Podcast, Ujumbe means message. And we talked about the southern part, the southern land of Zanj. All right. I really appreciate it. Happy Founders Day to the men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I will talk to you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. We're on every platform. And I will talk to you guys later. I'm thankful for all you guys. And I will talk to you later. Peace.